We now turn our attention to a critical and often overlooked aspect of modern relationships: the profound dangers of suppressing the natural dynamics that have evolved over millennia. In our well-intentioned but often misguided attempts to achieve absolute equality and to dismantle all perceived gender stereotypes, we risk creating an environment where the very foundations of healthy and fulfilling relationships are undermined. We are, in essence, trying to force a square peg into a round hole, and the consequences can be deeply damaging. For far too long, we have been told that any acknowledgement of inherent differences between men and women is inherently sexist or discriminatory. We have been encouraged to believe that the ideal relationship is one where all roles and behaviors are interchangeable, where any deviation from this model is a sign of outdated thinking or a lack of progress. But I submit to you that this is a dangerous oversimplification, a denial of fundamental realities that can lead to significant problems in our personal lives. Consider the biological and psychological realities we've already discussed. These are not simply arbitrary constructs. They are the product of millions of years of evolution, of pressures that shaped our very brains and bodies. To deny these underlying tendencies and to actively suppress them in the name of some abstract ideal of sameness is to ignore a fundamental aspect of human nature. One of the primary dangers of suppressing these natural dynamics is the potential for increased conflict and misunderstanding in relationships. When men and women have different needs, different communication styles, and different ways of approaching the world, attempting to force them into identical molds can lead to frustration and resentment. For example, if a woman has a natural inclination to seek emotional connection and her partner, due to his inherent tendencies, struggles to express his emotions in the same way, forcing him to do so can lead to inauthenticity and ultimately a breakdown in communication. The woman might feel unheard and unsupported, while the man might feel pressured and misunderstood. Similarly, if a man has a natural inclination towards problem solving and his partner prioritizes emotional processing, a forced attempt to adopt the other's style can lead to both parties feeling that their needs are not being met. The man might feel that his partner is not interested in finding a solution, while the woman might feel that her emotional experience is being dismissed. This suppression of natural tendencies can also lead to a lack of authenticity in the relationship. When individuals feel pressured to behave in ways that are contrary to their inherent inclinations, they may struggle to be their true selves. This can lead to a sense of inauthenticity, where both partners feel that they are not truly seen or understood by the other. Over time, this can erode trust and intimacy, the very foundations of a healthy relationship. Furthermore, the suppression of natural dynamics can lead to an imbalance in the relationship. If one partner feels constantly pressured to conform to the other's expectations, or if their natural strengths and contributions are not valued, it can lead to feelings of resentment and a sense of being undervalued. For example, if a woman feels that her nurturing instincts are constantly dismissed, or if a man feels that his desire to provide and protect is seen as controlling, it can lead to a breakdown in the partnership. It's important to understand that acknowledging these natural tendencies is not about reinforcing rigid stereotypes or limiting individual expression. It's about recognizing that there are general patterns and tendencies that influence how men and women approach relationships, and that ignoring these patterns can be detrimental. Another significant danger lies in the potential for increased stress and unhappiness within the relationship. When individuals are constantly fighting against their own nature or against the natural flow of the relationship dynamics, it can be incredibly draining and emotionally exhausting. This constant struggle can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and a diminished sense of well-being for both partners. Think about the effort it takes to constantly monitor and suppress one's natural inclinations. It's like trying to swim against a strong current. It requires immense effort and ultimately leads to fatigue. In a relationship, this constant effort can take a toll on the emotional and physical health of both individuals. Moreover, the suppression of natural dynamics can hinder the development of a truly complementary relationship. As we discussed earlier, the unique strengths and perspectives that men and women bring to a partnership can be a source of great strength and synergy. When we try to force everyone to be the same, we lose the opportunity to benefit from those diverse perspectives and to create a partnership that is greater than the sum of its parts. Imagine trying to build a complex structure with only one type of tool. You might be able to achieve some level of construction, but it will likely be inefficient, and the final product will be less robust than if you had utilized a variety of tools, each designed for a specific purpose. Similarly, in a relationship, the different strengths and perspectives of each partner are like different tools that can be used to build a strong and resilient partnership. Suppressing those differences limits our ability to build something truly exceptional. Furthermore, the denial of natural relationship dynamics can lead to a lack of understanding and empathy between partners. If we refuse to acknowledge that men and women might have different needs and experiences, it becomes difficult to truly understand and empathize with our partner's perspective. This lack of understanding can lead to misinterpretations, conflicts, and a breakdown in communication. Empathy requires us to step outside of our own perspective and to try to see the world through the eyes of another. If we deny the validity of their experiences based on their sex, we are effectively blocking our ability to truly connect with them on a deep level. Now, I am not advocating for a return to outdated and restrictive gender roles. I believe in equality and in the right of every individual to pursue their own interests and aspirations. But I also believe that true equality involves recognizing and respecting our differences, not pretending they don't exist. The goal should be to create relationships where both partners feel free to be their authentic selves, where their unique strengths and perspectives are valued, and where they can work together in a spirit of mutual respect and understanding. This requires a nuanced approach that acknowledges the influence of both biology and individual experience. We need to move beyond simplistic notions of gender sameness and embrace the complexity and richness of human difference. We need to create a culture where it is acceptable to acknowledge and discuss the general tendencies of men and women without fear of being labeled as sexist or discriminatory. The dangers of suppressing natural relationship dynamics are real and significant. They can lead to increased conflict, a lack of authenticity, an imbalance of power, increased stress, and a diminished ability to build a truly complementary and fulfilling partnership. Instead of trying to force everyone into the same mold, we should strive to understand and appreciate the unique contributions that each individual brings to the relationship. We should foster open communication, mutual respect, and a willingness to adapt to the natural flow of the relationship dynamics. The path to healthy and fulfilling relationships lies not in denying our differences, but in understanding them, embracing them, and learning how to navigate them with wisdom and compassion. To do otherwise is to risk building relationships on a foundation of denial and ultimately to undermine the very connections we seek to cultivate. And as we continue our exploration of the dangers inherent in suppressing natural relationship dynamics, let's consider the impact on individual well-being and personal growth. When individuals feel pressured to conform to expectations that are at odds with their inherent nature, it can lead to a sense of internal conflict and a diminished sense of self. Imagine a man who feels pressured to be overly emotionally expressive, even if his natural inclination is to process his emotions internally. He might feel inauthentic and uncomfortable, leading to anxiety and a sense of not being true to himself. Similarly, a woman who feels pressured to be overly assertive and dominant, even if her natural inclination is towards nurturing and collaboration, might experience a similar sense of internal conflict and unease. This suppression of one's natural inclinations can hinder personal growth and self-discovery. When we are constantly trying to be someone we are not, we limit our ability to understand our own needs and desires. We may become disconnected from our authentic selves and lose touch with what truly brings us joy and fulfillment. Furthermore, the denial of natural relationship dynamics can lead to a perpetuation of unhealthy patterns. If we refuse to acknowledge that men and women may have different needs and communication styles, we may fail to address the root causes of conflict and misunderstanding in our relationships. Instead, we may resort to blaming or criticizing our partners for not behaving in a way that aligns with our own expectations, without considering the possibility that their behavior is rooted in their own inherent tendencies. This can create a cycle of frustration and resentment where both partners feel misunderstood and unsupported. The lack of understanding and empathy can lead to a breakdown in communication and an inability to resolve conflicts effectively. Consider the impact on intimacy. True intimacy requires a sense of safety, trust, and authenticity. When individuals feel that they cannot be their true selves in a relationship, or when they feel that their natural needs and desires are not being acknowledged or respected, it can be difficult to achieve a deep and meaningful level of intimacy. A forced or inauthentic expression of intimacy can feel hollow and unsatisfying for both partners. It can create a barrier to genuine connection and prevent the development of a truly intimate bond. Moreover, the suppression of natural dynamics can have broader societal consequences. When we deny the inherent differences between men and women, we may fail to create social structures and support systems that are responsive to the diverse needs and experiences of both sexes. This can lead to a society where individuals feel unsupported and where their unique contributions are not fully valued. For example, if we fail to acknowledge that women, on average, may bear a greater share of the responsibility for childcare, we may not provide adequate support systems to help them balance work and family life. Similarly, if we fail to acknowledge that men on average may face different pressures and expectations in the workplace, we may not provide the support they need to thrive. The key is to find a balance between recognizing and respecting individual differences and striving for equality of opportunity and treatment. It is not about saying that one sex is inherently superior or inferior to the other. It is about acknowledging that men and women often have different strengths, needs, and perspectives, and that these differences can be a source of richness and strength in our relationships and in society as a whole. So, how do we navigate this complex landscape? How do we acknowledge the natural dynamics of relationships without falling into the trap of harmful stereotypes or rigid gender roles? It begins with education and awareness. We need to educate ourselves about the biological and psychological factors that influence human behavior, including the general tendencies of men and women. We need to be aware of the potential pitfalls of denying these realities and the benefits of understanding them. It requires open and honest conversations about our needs and expectations in relationships. We need to create a space where both partners feel comfortable expressing their authentic selves and where their unique perspectives are valued. It requires a willingness to challenge our own assumptions and biases. We all have preconceived notions about gender roles and expectations, and it's important to be willing to examine those beliefs and to question whether they are truly serving us in our relationships. It requires a commitment to empathy and understanding. We need to make an effort to see the world through our partner's eyes, to understand their experiences and their perspectives, even if they differ from our own. And finally, it requires a focus on building relationships based on mutual respect, trust, and a shared commitment to each other's well-being. It's about recognizing that our differences can be a source of strength and that by working together, we can create relationships that are both fulfilling and enduring. The dangers of suppressing natural relationship dynamics are real and far-reaching. They can lead to increased conflict, a lack of authenticity, diminished well-being, and a missed opportunity to build truly complementary and thriving partnerships. By embracing a more nuanced understanding of the interplay between biology, psychology, and individual experience, we can create a world where relationships are characterized by greater understanding, empathy, and a genuine appreciation for the unique contributions that each individual brings to the table. And that, my friends, is a path towards a more harmonious and fulfilling human existence.